on things for your children, but not on the things for a billionaire. There's a true distortion there. All right, what else are we going to have tonight? A couple of us went over and filmed the people's courtyard over in Hennepin County at the Hennepin County Courthouse, and that's of course an extension of the New York protest out there. So we're going to have some film footage on that. So we have a lot tonight, and there's some other issues that are going to come along. So let's start. I want to start with, I think do we want to take the caller? Let's take the caller, and I'm going to ask him if he wants to watch the film piece first and then come back online. Go ahead. I'm going to ask him if he wants to watch the film piece first and then come back online. Go ahead. What was that about? Do we have an echo in here? Caller, are you with us? Question or comment?
I can hear you, Bob, but you can't hear me, I guess.
All right. Do you want to hang on until we play the film piece?
It's got to do with the film piece, yes. Yes,
okay. We'll play the film piece, and then we'll get you back online.
Fine.
Hang on. Go ahead with the video, please.
Here, I want to make sure we keep people coming up and cycling through the comments as quickly as we can here. Otherwise, I'm going to say last call pretty soon here. Actually, you can both come up if you want to. Assuming you can sit next to each other. That's the one caveat.
Are we on the same side of the issue?
Two EDW guys, right?
Oh, yeah, there we go. Hello, my name is John Kislishin, and I've been in this community now for 25 years, which seems like a long time. With the Viking Stadium debate, there are a few people, in my opinion, that are wearing thick blinders and sunglasses who, frankly, they don't care how the stadium gets built. They just want to sit back in their chair and watch the team play with a beer in each hand. They don't care if the legislature has to put a gun to their neighbor's head in order to get the funding. Now, I see this parks and fire station debate potentially mirroring this Viking Stadium debate. There are a few who want to see money put towards parks and a fire station, and they don't care how it is done. They don't care about the long-term implications. They don't care about their fellow residents and their ability to pay. They could care less about what is right or what is moral, and they don't care if laws are twisted to the point of absurdity as long as they get their way. They don't care if there's a right way and a wrong way, and they don't care about the process. They don't care how the city council does it, just as long as they get their way and get it done. Now, as private citizens, everyone here is entitled to their own opinion, and I fault no one for expressing their opinion, whatever it may be. But not only does the legislature have to rise above this Vikings debate, but the Roseville City Council needs to rise above this fire station and parks issue. Elected officials have to care how it is done. They have to care about the long-term implications. They have to look out for the interests of all the residents, not just the handfuls who attend public meetings. They have a responsibility to see to the best of their ability that government operates in a correct and moral fashion. They need to respect the laws and their original intent. They have a responsibility to see that government business is conducted in an ethical and moral manner. And in my opinion, the discussion tonight is not about the fire department or the parks, because frankly, everybody in this room supports the fire department, and I think everybody in this room here supports the parks department. The decision before the council tonight, in my opinion, is whether it is ethically and morally correct to use a law that was written for the construction and operation of railroad, trucking, and boat shipping facilities, which allows for the borrowing of unlimited amount of money without voter approval. Is it ethically and morally correct to claim that the fire station and the park system is in decay or blighted in order to claim that this is an economic redevelopment project instead of calling it what it is, which is a regular old-fashioned facilities upgrade project. Is it ethically and morally correct to ignore long-standing city policy limits on spending that all council members for the last 10 to 20 years have voted in favor of? Is it ethically and morally correct that the public notice alerting everyone to the hearing today about changing an industrial development plan has very little to do with the final goal, which is borrowing $30 million without a voter referendum, imposing over $100 a year in taxes, probably $2,000 per household over the life of the bonds? Is it ethically and morally correct that city staff kept legal opinions from this city council and the public for about 2 weeks, which in my opinion provided the ability so they'd have the shortest amount of notice of this new plan that they dreamed up that some are supporting today? In a community that has a long history of voter referendums, is it ethically and morally correct to institute a plan where the council today and forever in the future will be able to borrow an unlimited amount of money for just about any project imaginable? Is it ethically and morally correct to quadruple the city's debt from $11 million to $40 million through this process? Is it ethically and morally correct to borrow millions of dollars and pay Wall Street interest when the city has $20 million in available funds in the city's bank account which have no restrictions placed on their use by state law? These funds have been collected by taxpayers over the past 20 or more years. We have the cash today to build 2 or 3 new fire stations. Or we could take the cash today and cut a check to the Parks Department and start building tomorrow without using any of this process that we're debating about today. When I sat in the mayor's seat 10 years ago, I was faced with similar questions when I put forward my plan to renovate City Hall, replace the Public Works building, and construct a police department addition for $9.6 million. I had a choice to pursue the ethical and morally correct way of funding this project that we're sitting in here today, or to find some way to twist laws and create some sort of a sham process to borrow millions without a vote of the people. It took me about 1 second to decide that we as a community were going to come together and make a community decision at the ballot box. I didn't hold one public hearing to work out the details. We probably had 10 public hearings over the course of 6 months. We had 2 open houses, if I recall correctly. We had a road show where the police chief and I and others took the issue to community meetings.
All right, 30 seconds.
I did a literature drop the weekend before the election. Now, in 2002, we didn't have a room full of people that supported the plan. We had several thousand, probably around 8,000 people that voted for it. Now, I sent your proposal to a couple people at the legislature, and the one comment I got back, and this is what I will pretty much close with here, is that the comment here that I received from one legislator is that cities and counties have the authority to do this, but they do it in order to circumvent the voters who would normally be held to a capital improvement plan bonding process that's subject to a reverse referendum. Thankfully, some people at the legislature here have stepped forward and are looking at putting this into a reform package to eliminate this process in its entirety. And the last thing I'll comment on is somebody mentioned...
Let the man speak.
Somebody mentioned...
No, the audience needs to keep quiet, first of all, and I gave you actually 2.5 extra minutes beyond the 5-minute time limit, and so your time is done at this time.
Mr. Rowe, I know you disagree with my comments, and you've disagreed with them in the past on this issue.
I have let
But you should not let that go into your personal...
Time this evening without comment. You are 2.5 minutes past your time. You need to wrap up your comments now, and you have done that.
Mr. Rowe,
you began another topic after I said you had 30 seconds, and you said you were going to conclude with the comment,
you should not let your personal viewpoints interfere with your administration of the meeting.
Your comment time is done. I'm going to recognize the next speaker, and I would ask you to go to your seat.
Thank you.
Don't go over your time, Bill.
All right, we're back, and of course, we have that former mayor with us right now. Folks, does the current mayor of Roseville remind you of Willie Rosbach?
There were a couple people after that meeting that commented how similar he is to Craig Klausing. That when Dan ran for the council and got elected, he was his own person, but once Craig left and he took the mayor's seat, not only did he take the chair, but he took Craig Klausing's personality also. And that's that. I didn't even think about that until somebody brought that up to me.
So he became the bully of the.
Well, Craig Klausing was somebody that, when presented with facts that ran counter to his opinions, he was always hostile to them. He was always hostile towards me after I left, and he was hostile to Amy Island. Then at times he was hostile to Tammy Poost. I mean, you name the person, it's... and
those people are all council people now.
Yeah, they're all council people, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so, and Dan, unfortunately, he... I mean, I think what really bothers Dan the most about this whole deal is, with my attending these public hearings, I'm there as a reminder to the public and a reminder to the council that when I was mayor, and I'm supposedly supposed to be the mayor who couldn't get anything done in their opinion, I got a referendum passed, the first referendum passed on the very first try since the 1967 indoor ice arena. And we went about the process the correct way. We went to the people, we said, here's what we want to do. Do you want to join us and become part of the team? And the people went to the ballot box and they said yes. And Dan was, I sent an email to Dan in 2007 saying, Dan, the fire department issues need to be addressed. Craig Klausing has sat on his hands and done nothing. You need to step up to the plate.
And Craig was the previous mayor.
And he was supposed to take over the projects that I started and finish them. Klausing was. Once we got the City Hall rebuilt and got the new public safety building built, the next step in the process was supposed to deal with the fire station, building it behind where the current Roseville Library expanded to. That property was supposed to have been the fire station property. They were supposed to have broke ground in probably 2007. When 2007 came and was going, I sent an email to Dan, about a 2-page email, and I said, you need to step up to the plate. What Dan proceeded to do is do absolutely nothing all the way up until now, and then now he had the gall to say at this meeting that this is an emergency. And at a previous meeting he said, we have to act because past councils haven't addressed this issue. He is the past council. He says, now we need to bond for $8 million for the fire station because we are in a jam. We have to get this done. Well, Dan, if you would have started working on it 4 years ago,
in 2007,
you would have had the 2008 election, the 2010 election. So then they come up with this financing scam of declaring the fire station blighted. And then get this. They are labeling the parks as being, the entire Roseville park system is now considered blighted or substandard. So then that way, they, as a redevelopment project, they can use a port authority, which is like ships and planes, to maybe borrow money without voter approval. Unlimited money. There's no cap.
Distortion of the law.
So they're using the Port Authority, declaring that the fire station and the park system is decayed and blighted. So they can borrow for an economic redevelopment project
without the people
$30 million. It will quadruple the city's debt.
But John,
we have $11 million in debt. We will now have $40 million in debt, $100 or more per year tax increase, $2,000 per home over the life of the bonds, 20 years. And some of these items that they're going to spend money on, I question whether they're even going to last 20 years. They're even going to spend money to irrigate soccer fields, which I raised the question, you mean you borrow money for that? I thought that was a maintenance item. Well, but it's blighted. It's blight.
Blighted.
Remember, our park system is blighted now. We have a
The grass
blighted,
is brown.
The
so it's
grass is
blighted.
brown. The Roseville Park system is now officially blighted.
Wow. You know, it sounds just like so many other government. Let's find a way to go around the people. What a distortion.
Well,
and the thing is, but you're saying that Roseville has $20 million in the bank.
We have $20 million sitting in the bank.
And $11 million current debt that they're paying interest on.
Yeah.
And now they want to run it up $30 million, so they have $41 million.
Yeah.
Where Maplewood has a $90 million debt and a $50 million annual budget, and there's no end to it.
But at least in Maplewood, there was a little bit of buy-in, because I think most of your debt is associated with street reconstruction projects.
Well, but again, over the objection of the citizens.
But that at least
and
required.
they do that with the knowledge of assessing the people at a high enough percentage that they don't have to go to the voters. So they do the same thing. Yeah. They shimmy sham the law.
25% assessment, 75% bonding.
And so that way, and that's why these things are going to court. And but the whole project in Maplewood is all about keeping these planners and engineers on the dole. And so how do we do that? We keep these insidious road projects going over the outcry of the citizens, but the council doesn't care. So it's the same thing there. I don't know, they said they wanted to play the Little Willie piece because
well, I was going to say, the frightening thing that is different with the Roseville debt that I think is maybe different with Maplewood is I believe that Maplewood may have some caps as to how much money they can borrow for those type of projects you're talking about. And of course there is going to be somewhat of a limit,
but John,
because it has to be for roads.
But you see what happens as soon as Maplewood sees how Roseville was able to distort the system. Maplewood, they're sitting over there already saying, hey, you know what, we can do that same scam.
Well, in Roseville, with the Port Authority, I had at first had the impression there was a cap on the amount of money we could borrow. Because there is a statute that limits, I think it's like 2% of net tax capacity calculations, roughly $89 million. What we found out was the statutory cap on borrowing applies for borrowing for projects that do not produce 1 cent of revenue. So a fire station, if they charge a fee for a couple of their services, is revenue generating.
Wow.
So a fire station does not fall under the cap. The Vikings Stadium would not fall under the cap, more than likely, if the city were somehow collecting a small amount of revenue, maybe 5 cents on the dollar or something like that.
Wow. Let's take the phone call. Caller, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Question or comment, caller? Go and caller, you need
mute off.
Caller, you need to make sure you have your TV turned down, because that's why we had that echo last time. It went through your TV and fed back. So make sure your TV is turned down. That's for all the callers. When you call in here, turn the TVs down. All right.
What the hell is the mute on this?
And so go ahead then, caller.
Wait a minute, I got the wrong box here.
Hey, you sound like the person that at one time told everybody about the city attorney at Roseville falling asleep.
Yes, yes, I'm the same guy, and I live across the street. Hiya, John.
Hello.
I was watching the meeting, and I was wondering if Willie, the dictator Rosbach, slid into the meeting over there and turns himself into Danny the Dictator Rowe. Now, could that be a possibility? It sure sounded like it to me. That's about all I got to say. John knows what I mean, don't you, John?
Yeah.
Thanks, caller. What was his connection there?
Yeah, he lives across the street from City Hall.
He's the one that has the, what is it, Jackass?
The Jackass, yeah. With the back end that points towards the city manager's office window. and it says "Welcome to Roseville." And then there's a couple of bus tours that always stop at his house. It's a landmark. It's a Twin Cities landmark, and people stop there and get their picture taken next to it. And
But he sees the connection with Willie Rosbach.
I laughed on a E! Channel did a story on Lonnie Anderson, who's from Roseville. And in the little montage that opened up in the opening credits, they had a picture of the jackass with the "Welcome to Roseville" sign.
You know,
so it's even made national
we're gonna wrap this up. We have a lot of other stuff tonight, John.
Well, I don't know if there's anything else to say about this borrowing deal, except that, you know, the hope is that the legislature will step up and put the kibosh on this
and straighten the law out. Unless it's a actual port.
Exactly.
It has to be for what's intended. You can't distort this stuff to build, put sprinkler systems in on playgrounds.
And I got a reply back from one legislator, and he used the term lend-lease. Apparently what's been going on in several cities is they use what's called an HRA, a Housing Redevelopment Authority, or an EDA, an Economic Development Authority, or a Port Authority. So the city council sits as the same members of those organizations, and then they will like build something, borrow tons of money with no voter approval. So like, for example, the Housing and Redevelopment Authority could build a fire station and then lease it to themselves, the city council, for like $1 a year in order to get around voter referendums. And that's not what the law was ever intended. In '87, when they passed those laws, it was about the cities developing infrastructure that was supposed to probably be rented out and leased to private companies, you know, like running a port like Superior or St. Paul.
Not to themselves.
Exactly. This wasn't supposed to be a scam to build government buildings or repair government parks.
And John, this abuse by corporations, abuse by elected officials that are owned by corporations or owned by unions, this is why the citizens, the people, are over in the courtyard over in Minneapolis. This is the thing that pushes citizens.
Well, Bob, we would have had, there would have been I mean, the room was already full at City Hall on Monday. But the reason why you didn't have 300-400 people show up is, you know what the public hearing notice said? The public hearing notice says, show up and testify about adjusting a Port Authority industrial development agreement. Okay. There was nothing in the public notice about them borrowing $30 million with no referendum, about a massive tax increase or anything else. None of that was in the public press release.
All right, so we're going to go on to the next issue. Thanks for being here, John. Always appreciate it. Give us the update either on the school district over there in Roseville abusing, bullying the parents, or the city council abusing the taxpayers. All right, thank you. Do we want to play Little Willie? No. All right, let's go on to what we're going to play. Let's play the piece, yes, from today. All right, this was shot at about 3:30 today, and it'll be self-explanatory. This is over in the People's Courtyard outside the Hennepin County Courthouse. So we'll talk about this as we go through, and we do have another caller on the line. So as soon as that's ready, here we go. This is the People's Encampment. What is that called? What is it called over there? All right, this is called Occupy Minneapolis. Well, it's Occupy Minnesota is what it's correctly called. Some people refer to it as Occupy Minneapolis, but people are from all over. It's called Occupy Minnesota, and it's an extension of Occupy Wall Street in New York. And so this was, we were shooting this high up from the courthouse steps, and you see some of the signs. People are encamped there. You know, it has to be getting cold at night, and then we're going to have an interview there was one thing in particular there, right here. So the priests took over the lands. They stole other men and made them their slaves. But then the slaves started to plan a revolt. So the high priest came up with a plan. He would declare all slaves to be free, and celebrations would be had across the land. Then he would offer these men jobs and pay them for their work. And in return, he would take back their money for a place to live and food to eat. He smiled, knowing that nothing changed, but a shift in perception. Then, to ensure their complacency, he began reducing their intelligence. Wow, it's called Build a Stadium and Keep them Complacent. We're over at Occupy, Minnesota, correct?
We're at the People's Plaza.
People's Plaza. Mm-hmm. On my left, we have Jenny. On my far right here, we have Dan.
Hi there.
And over on the end, we have Justin. And so we're outside the Hennepin County Government Center, and we thought we'd get a few comments as to what the goal is. And I will say that what I'm hearing is that everybody kind of speaks for themselves. There's no formal organization here. And is it fair to say this is an outcropping from Wall Street? Or
Absolutely. We're standing here in solidarity with Occupy Wall Street. We're taking their general organization. So that means we have no leader. It means nobody is the head, fill in the blank of anything. We're all here from a multitude of backgrounds with a multitude of voices. And we're all here because, well, like my button says, it's the corruption, stupid. You know.
It's the corruption, stupid. You know. I think we saw that in a editorial cartoon. Wasn't that in there?
Could have been, yeah. I mean, that's certainly why I'm here.
Well, it was directed, if I am correct, it was directed at our president.
Yeah.
And so let's get it on. So we're at this is the welcoming table here.
May I make a change? It's not that there is no organization here. That's not true, actually. There is organization here. This is a leaderless movement, not that we don't have leaders. All of us are leaders. We have no followers. That's the only correction I wanted to make.
Very well said. So now we're at the welcome table here. So people that come by that want to be part of changing the future can join, sign up. What's the
everyone. We welcome everyone. We want everyone. We need everyone.
Okay, now Justin,
Yeah.
What do you see as maybe the goal or the purpose or the objective?
Well, for me, you know, I don't know that I'm gonna say it's this singular political change. It's about the coming together of different people with different backgrounds and saying we deserve to be represented in have political voice together, and because our contemporary political system fails to recognize the voices of a lot of different people, we're going to come together and we're going to make our own different system where we have a voice, where we are all leaders, where we don't have followers.
Now, what would any one of you hope would be the outcome or the final, if there is a final goal? What would you actually be looking for?
One of the goals of all the occupies that I personally hope to see is an end to corporate personhood. There was a proposal passed by consensus by the General Assembly to say
Of
Occupy Minnesota's General Assembly several days ago. If you'd like, I would like to get you the exact wording of that.
Sure.
I'll speak to that in a moment. But I want to see the end to a corporation being considered a legal person, and freedom of speech being considered to be as much money as you'd like to give to a political donation. If we are to have a government that really represents the will of the people, we have to get money out of it. You can't pay for someone to be a representative and then consider them to have anything to do with what we want, what their constituents want. They listen to who pays for them to get in office, in my opinion.
An interesting letter to the editor, I believe it was in today's St. Paul Pioneer Press paper, was they're waiting to see, when you say the corporation have been designated the status of a person, and the comment was that they're waiting for Texas to execute one of these corporate persons.
I've seen a sign that says, "I'll believe a corporation is a person when Texas executes one." I think that's what you're referring to.
That is great. But on the flip side, I look at it and say they tried to make two wrongs into a right when they gave personship to the government, of course, and thanks for correcting me. When they gave corporations the rights of a person, there already, to me, was that transgression when they gave the other side, the unions, the right of a person. And so a person should be a person, should be no organization whatsoever. So if you're going to give it to one, they gave it to the other. I think they shouldn't have done that. I think they should have taken it away from the first entity. Shouldn't have had the right of a person, nor should the corporation. And people can come together
the
as
rights of a person as being designated a legal person. Is that what you mean?
Well,
do you mean more generally that you think that unions shouldn't have bargaining rights or something?
No,
like that?
unions should have bargaining rights.
I couldn't agree more.
But they held a different position than corporations in terms of free speech. And so to that end, I think the only people that truly persons should have free speech. And when you come together like this, it is truly people. It is a person. It's not a organization.
We're all individuals here. We all have our own voices. That's part of the reason why there isn't a spokesperson. No one person could possibly represent the interests of everybody here. And if there is someone that says I or my individual organization represents Occupy as a whole, that's just not true.
All right. Now, Jenny, you were going to read the official statement?
Yes, let me grab that.
Okay, and we'll come over here with Dan again.
Hi there.
Now, I'm still trying to grasp, and I think this is what's in the media, that the media tries to say, well, what do you hope to accomplish? What as individuals or collectively as individuals do you hope to change? Wall Street, while we're sitting here, they're making their billions, taking any bailout that'll come along.
That's right.
And I think Clinton started that.
Yeah, with the repeal of the Glass-Steagall Act. Yeah, it started in his administration, brought about largely, in my opinion, by pressure from the Republican-dominated House and Senate at the time. There's only so much one administration can do without assistance from the legislative branch. The executive branch is quite limited. Study your civics, people. So in the 90s, when we had that wonderful contract with America and the resurgence of the Republican pipe dreams and all of that, which ended up in the end shutting the country down for a week or more, while we're worried about Lewinsky and all of that foolishness, they sold a lot of people down the river. And in my opinion, that's what partisan politics do. It's not just Republicans, it's not just Democrats, it's both of them in bed with corporations that have way too much money who finance their elections, which
keeps them in power.
Absolutely. So basically, it's not a lobby; it's a bribe.
So the overall goal would be to place enough pressure on the elected officials to try to distance them from the corporate stranglehold?
Well, that's not going to happen, in my opinion. They're already in bed with each other and have been for a very long time. They're getting paid So what do they care about the common person? They simply don't, and we can see that by, unemployment rates that haven't been seen in generations. Many other economic indicators that show we're kind of
tremendous debt.
Yes,
Tremendous debt.
Absolutely.
The homework I assign to people is to get an understanding of this 14 and a half, 15, 16 trillion dollar debt.
Yep.
Is what is a trillion seconds?
Yeah.
And we know what a second is. Now what's a trillion seconds?
Yep.
Well, that comes out, this debt, that's 600,000 years in seconds.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So people, we start throwing these numbers around 14. Well, 14 isn't a big number.
Right.
Who can wrap their mind around a trillion?
That's right.
It doesn't happen.
That's I agree with you completely on that one.
So the issue now becomes this whole exercise. What do we hope to?
Hey Liz, turn around.
Turn around. Thank you. All right. Do we have it here?
We do. And while I'm thinking about it, I remember today's Wednesday, correct? It's Wednesday. I remember that there was a meeting to discuss the language of this particular resolution. But I can give you the last statement. I would love to read you what was passed at the time at the General Assembly. You do? I've got it here too, but I don't know that the language hasn't changed since then because I did not attend the cohesive messaging meeting. At the time that this was passed, this was the wording. On Saturday, October 22nd, at our General Assembly, which was held at 7 p.m., at around 9 p.m. that day, there was an Occupy Minnesota corporate personhood resolution. At the time, the last paragraph of which was stated as follows, and at that time was passed by consensus by the General Assembly. Resolved that the General Assembly of Occupy Minnesota orders that Congress introduce an amendment to the United States Constitution to end corporate personhood, effectively stating that corporations are not people and money is not speech. That was passed by consensus, disregarding one block. The block's objection was that the wording of the proposal is infantile. That was not, at the time, registered as a valid block by the facilitator. A block, by the way, we don't have a democratic voting process. The way we pass things is through the General Assembly is by consensus. Everyone has to agree to it. So the block of the use of the block is I have a moral and ethical objection to whatever is being proposed, and I think it goes against the spirit of this group, and I will consider leaving if it is passed. That's the purpose of a block. It's when you have something put up for consensus that receives a block, it cannot go through unless the block is not registered by everyone or considered by everyone as valid. You can't just block and say, I don't like it. That's thumbs down. Block is, I am morally opposed to it.
I have the sense that the coming together here is more of a democracy type movement rather than a representative republic organization. Each individual has an actual say.
And each individual's voice is worth the same amount.
Yes. All right. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody. Anybody have any last comments?
People over profit.
People over profit.
Please come join every day that you can at 7 p.m. We have a General Assembly. It has been being held on the knoll, the grassy knoll in back, but it's been moving around some because of cold. But always there will be a sign in the back that says where we're going to be. So please come down every day that you can. We need you.
Justin, how many days have you been here?
I have been here on and off since day one.
Okay.
Me too.
Jenny and
Day one.
Day one. Okay, so what day are we in now?
20. Yeah, 20.
And what's the goal? To stay here indefinitely?
Yep. We're going to occupy the space as long as we can.
Well, I hope
until our needs are met.
Yep.
I hope God and the weather cooperates.
That would be nice.
Thanks all of you.
You're welcome.
All right. There we go.
We waving at the county sheriff or something? Hey guys!
The powers to be. in the glass tower.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. That was filmed, like I say, about 3:30 today. We want to thank everybody. And, of course, we have Lauren Setterstrom here. I brought in the cartoon. I don't know if we can run one of the cameras up. We'll get a chance here. This is exactly what we said. We'll zoom up on this one. This is what I referred to. Here it is. It's the economy, stupid. Mission accomplished. That's the, you know, the Iraq issue. And there's your president. And so people realize that, all right, that's enough. Pull her back. Okay. Gaddafi, bin Laden, Iraq, al-Awlaki. Well, that's not the mission. The mission is the economy and straightening out the corruption. So Ford Motors CEO, what, 48 million salary and 53 million stock option? You know, I mentioned Clinton. He bailed out Citibank. So, you know, there's no end to this stuff. All right.
William McGuire, I want to point out, at United Healthcare, before he had to exit because they backdated his stock plans, was making $248 million a year. The poor man couldn't qualify for food stamps because he was getting $5 million a week.
So, you know, I think we need a law like a CEO or anybody in the corporation can't make more than 100 or 200,000 times the lowest paid employee. It would do two things: that it would raise the salary of all the grunts, and it would rein in some of these grotesque compensation packages. And then I think what government can do is do a graduated tax increase and say a progressive tax that if you go over that 200,000 times the lowest paid employee, we tax you at 99%.
Sounds. Do we still have a caller out there?
Yes, we have a caller. Caller, are you with us? Question or comment? We're going to talk about the levy. You have something to add to the levy in Matamidi or the road projects, say in Grant?
Yes, I do, Bob. As far as the high priest of the Matamidi School District, Mr. Mark Larson, he shifted his perception by taking and sending a mailer out paid by the citizens of Grant, Matamidi, Delwood, and the other 8 cities that encompass the Matamidi School District, took a mailing list, sent it out to every house, stating that his school technology will not cost a house of $300,000 or $600,000 a single dollar. And my question is, if it's not going to cost us a single dollar, why are we even putting it up for vote? But it is actually costing us $29 per $100,000 value of home. So a $600,000 home, it will cost them $200,000. It's been going on for 10 years. I don't know what we have to show for it for the last 10 years. That levy has run its course. Now they're saying it won't cost you any more in taxes if you just renew the thing. So, yes, they are trying to shift the perception. And I would like to ask Mr. Setterstrom if he could call the independent school district over there and ask them if they will provide us the same mailing list that they sent out and maybe provide us the postage as they took my tax dollars to get their viewpoint out. I wonder if they will pay the postage and give us a mailing list so we can put out our literature and our information opposing that.
Citizens' voice. Okay. This levy is how many million? This is on the heel of a
1.7. I just have some interesting statistics. There was a very interesting letter to the editor today in the White Bear Press, and this person went on homesurfer.com and said, Mahtomedi spends $11,301 is spent per pupil with a state average $10,815. Capital spending was 22% per pupil, with state averages being 14%. The deficit per pupil was minus $25,486, with state averages being $16,114. So they're spending a lot of money. They're pushing this technology, and I've questioned this before. Mark Larson was at the superintendent of schools was at one of the planning commission meetings and saying, we're teaching chemical engineering to the second graders, they're making Play-Doh. Now they're bringing this fab lab down to fourth graders. No, I'm not against technology, I'm 100% in support of vocational education, but what are they gaining out of fourth graders using this expensive technology to make action figures of themselves? It makes no sense.
Fab Lab is three-dimensional.
It's a three-dimensional. The first 2 years, 3M is funding the $200,000 for that. Now, a mile down the road at Century College, where it should be, by the way, there's only 2 of these labs in the state of Minnesota, okay? Down the road at Century.
A mile of fans apart.
You know, they're having it where it should be. Now, we got to look at scope and sequence. You know, the students have to learn the basics, okay? If they have the interest, the aptitudes, and abilities, they could take the options program on a secondary level and go, you know, after they've developed the skills, computer skills, and the understanding, and go to the Century with no cost to the school district, I might add, or wait until they graduate. But they're spending all this money, and it is for open enrollment. What they're attempting to do...
26%. Are the lines open?
Yep.
Okay. We need a call. There's supposed to be a call coming in that is... There is a meeting tomorrow night. It's a once in a happening, and it's on open government. And there were actually Jay Leno last night. He does his goofy newspaper stuff, and it says, open government meeting closed to the public.
Well, there's another meeting.
Let's get that call to come in, or we're going to be out of time. All right, wrap it up.
There's another meeting tomorrow night they're also having on the tax levy, because Grant is talking about doing some maintenance to the roads. And a couple of the members, including Mr. Huber, is against increasing any tax. Council member is against raising any taxes, because currently in Grant, most of the road maintenance goes for gravel roads. So if you're living on a tar road, many of them haven't been touched. So it's kind of a ticking time bomb. They've already had to turn one section of road back into gravel because
they haven't done the maintenance.
They haven't done the maintenance in these roads, and there was a lot of heated debate. A lot of Grant residents are saying, yes, we will pay a nominal sum of
We're tired of paying $48 million to build schools on an old dump site. At least let us
fix our roads. In Grant we pay a 14% of our tax dollar goes to the city of Grant, okay? Mahtomedi, White Bear, those areas are between 34 and 38%. So we're a very low tax rate, but I think what this council member Huber is attempting to do is he's going to try to make a run for the mayorship based on a referendum, saying, of course, he's against it. He doesn't want to spend any more money, doesn't want to fix the roads. But now, this is the same man that gave the donation of $300 for a plaque that we've never done before within the city, okay?
Plaque to who?
This was a plaque for the people that helped redo the ball field, okay?
Right.
So
okay, now we're gonna shorten this up. One of the things too is when we're doing this, you know, we're gonna end up with a piece of video here, but people need to remember that Marv Copen in Maplewood, of course, denied people the right to vote on the charter, on the sales tax for the stadium. Copen and nephew, part of the Maplewood City Council, closed fire stations, sell parks, big government-run trash bins and trash collection with identification chips in your bins, $500,000 to $1 million for that. Total abominable, the disrespect for citizens $90 million in debt, $50 million budget, a street project, like I said, that provide funding to keep all the planners and engineers employed. So, folks, you have to watch this stuff. And well, I don't know. Are we going to get that call or not? Well, we're down. We're down to a minute, 2 minutes here. All right. Any last comment, Lauren?
Well, what I'm saying...
Because levies are coming up all over. Okay, we have that phone call. Caller, are you with us? It's about time.
Well, I've been trying for an hour, and you wasted so much time on other things.
All right,
tonight.
go.
All right, well, tomorrow night at White Bear Lake City Hall, that's Thursday night, October 27th at 7 p.m., there's going to be a seminar put on by IPAD, which is a state agency. The topic is public information and how to do public information requests and the open meeting law. This is a very rare occasion where the public can go to a meeting and get this information that is usually given only to government employees during the daytime at a cost of $75 a head.
So it's free, 7 p.m., White Bear Lake City Hall. Okay, we're down to half a minute. Go.
All right. Then the last night, Roseville Public Works Commission meeting. The people that put on that forum about the garbage in September, they came back to the meeting and said, well, we've decided we want you to push this and we want organized collection in Roseville. And they were very adamant about it. They also threatened the haulers that they're going to go to the legislature and try to get laws changed so that organized collection can be done easier by cities.
All right, so they're following in Maplewood's footsteps. Thank the caller. We're going to go to the next video, wrap the show up. Thanks for being with us, viewers. Lauren Setterstrom, shut the phone off. I'm your host, Bob Zick. We'll be back next week. All new material.
Hello, my name's Rebecca Cave and I'm running for Maplewood City Council. This November 8th, I'm asking for your vote. If you don't want government involvement with your trash collection and you think you can pick your own trash collector, vote for me. I'm against government organized trash collecting. I know Maplewood City Council wants to put it through. I think you're smart enough to make your own choices. You've chosen which trash collectors work for you and you can negotiate your own prices. If you're protecting parks and open spaces, then I'm the candidate for you. We've just sold one of our parks, and I've been an advocate against selling parks and open spaces for the last 5 years. I'm very disappointed that they've shut down the fire station number 3 on the west end and also number 4 on the south end. The safety of our citizens is #1 priority for me. I'll encourage visitor presentations to be brought back to the beginning of the meeting because you are the reason we're up here. The citizens are who voted for the council members and they need to listen to them. Don't forget, vote November 8th.
Get what you can. Camera at it! Camera at it! Got it! Get it! Get it! Camera! These are the people that have sworn an oath to uphold our Constitution and our rights to petition the government. These are the people that have sworn the oath to us. Uh-huh.